Hello Archons and welcome very much to this special presentation. My name is Aaron aka Orion0497. I run the Phlox'em Keyforge channel, but we are here tonight to celebrate something really exciting, and that is the first season, first round of the Keyforge Team League. Because this is the first round, I'm going to talk just really quick about what that is, and then we'll get into our match for tonight. Keyforge Team League is exactly what it sounds. It's an online league run out of a Discord server called Keyforge Team League. It was created by Algernon R, Emperor Riku, and Astron, and it is a 3-person team league where each player on your team plays a different format. So each week, each player on your team plays either Adaptive, Triad, or Archon, and they play that same format for the whole league. So you as a team are trying to beat the other team at those 3 formats, where each player is always playing those formats. Along with that, they wanted to try and put together some really special Keyforge content creators to highlight some of these matches. So once a week, what's going to happen is there's going to be 3 different creators covering one of the 3 different matches from one team matchup. And all of those videos are going to be compiled and put together on YouTube for everyone to watch and enjoy this awesome game and some really high level play. So tonight we've got Triad between Sloppy Labwork and Meticulous Plażing, which, if you don't know, is actually just the second Sloppy Labwork team. So of course, both of them got paired up. Round 1, you're going to be able to see the other 2 matches, the Adaptive and Archon matches, over on Murph/Fudginator's channel and on Andy Forge's channel. So check out the links below to go find the other matches. But we've got Triad, which is going to be jtrussell versus JDG314. The way Triad works is there's going to be 3 decks brought by each player. Both players will ban 1 deck of their opponents, and then you have to win with your other 2 decks. So it's a best of 3 format. All of the formats in this team league are best of 3. So Archon is best of 3 and Adaptive is best of 3. We're doing Triad. So there's also going to be the banning phase, and we're going to take a look at what they ban. But first, let's get into the decks. All right, from JDG's side, we have, starting off, 94 SAS Grim Reminders, the Anguished Pawn of Charlatos. This is exactly what we've come to expect from the short amount of time we've had with Grim Reminders so far. 2 key cheats, Might Makes Right and Ecto Charge, really both going to be set up a lot by the Winds of Death, and then the In Here Somewhere. Mars is no slouch either, going to have some creature control in there. It's going to be fast, it's going to be killing a lot of stuff, and it's going to really put a lot of pressure on with those key cheats. Second, we have T. Vicari, Oficial de Abadia de Timides. Sorry if that's wrong. 86 SAS, Mass Mutation, Eaton's Jar, lots of Logos efficiency, lots of Starline stuff going on. Double Infernus, probably to try and slow down some of the Grim Reminders we're expecting to see this tournament. And then finally, we have JDG's signature deck, Chandra, the Probably Complex. It is a terrifying but very complicated deck that can use things like Exile. It uses Quixelstone, all kinds of different tools to really disrupt and kind of overthrow your opponent. Over on JT's side, we have T. Zyger, the Lighthouse Dock. This is another Mass Mutation deck using Animator and Transport Platform to try and recur the Ultra Gravitron play, but it's no slouch without that. Also has the Eaton's Jar, also has those Infernuses, just a very strong kind of long game, control-y, efficient deck. Next, we have a 75 SAS Winds of Exchange deck, Psi-E Philivecus? I don't know. You can help me out, JT. Equidon, Sanctum, and Unfathomable, double Heavy Subsidies, double Celestial Gorm, double Sandhopper with the Cleric token. Finally, we have XU Stealth Warper of the Brilliant Estuary. Lots of very speedy logos here with double Sloppy Labwork, Auto Encoder, and the Lethalogica, as well as some creature control there with the Positron Bolts, Shadows, and Starline. This is another Quixelstone deck. So 4 Mass Mutations, 1 Grim Reminders, and 1 Winds of Exchange. Really interested to see what the bans are going to look like here. Just right off the bat, I think Grim Reminder is probably going to get banned, and I could see T. Zager or Philivecki getting banned. So we'll see what they do, and we'll go from there and get into these games. All right, everyone, here we go. We've got game 1 coming up. Bans were on jtrussell's side, T. Zager. Again, just a deck that JDG probably knows very well and knows how scary it can be. And then on JDG's side, we have T. Vicari getting banned. So JT not as scared by the Grim Reminders as he is by that Eaton's Jar. So we'll see what decks they go with for round 1. We're just waiting for them to start. All right, and here we go, everyone. This is round 1 from jtrussell, who's going to be on the bottom. We've got XU Stealth Warper of the Brilliant Estuary. This is the other Mass Mutation deck with Quixelstone. And then on JDG side, we have Chandra, the Probably Complex. Good luck and have fun to both players. This should be a barn burner of a match. I really wonder how many times they have played this matchup before, these two being teammates and these being some of their favorite decks. Chandra for sure is a deck that we've seen many times, and don't know how much these guys have been prepping for this match as well, so maybe even some practice games getting in there before this starts. All right, so we've got jtrussell with the turn 1. Did both players decide to go for a mulligan there? And jtrussell just starting off with a lay of the land, getting his next turns prepped. Early transporter platform coming down from JDG and a particle sweep for some amber. Okay, both players playing fast out the gate here, just kind of getting stuff set up. Again, both of these decks are kind of, well, at least Chandra is a little bit combo centric, needs the game state to work its way out a little bit. It's going to be really interesting to see who, if either of them, play the Quixelstone, because with Chandra at least, that can be very much a yes or no question depending on the matchup. I don't know for Stealth Warper if that's the same or if Stealth Warper just always wants that down. But early autoencoder for, oh, JT. And there we have the Quixelstone coming down from JDG. So no question on that anymore. We are playing a Quixelstone game. Neither of these decks, I believe, have Amber Control. Let me see. Or Artifact Control. Yeah, no artifact control except for the animator on JDG's side. So we'll see if he's able to get some destruction going there. Already a 5-card archives for jtrussell though, and then just using that Positron Bolt to take out the daughter. Just getting to check, getting the pressure on Chandra already, especially with that Quixelstone down. Doesn't have a whole lot of options for capturing onto something and then protecting it with a Ludo. So JDG had the sloppy Labwork and then some discards earlier on just to get that extra archives going. So we do have that 6-card archive already. And then we have a, not a huge exile, but an exile for 2 on that Warded Galeatops going over to jtrussell. jtrussell is now not able to play any more creatures because of the Quixelstone. But the Galeatops is also warded, so it might be a bit before JDG can get that Amber back, which he's probably fine with. He wants this probably to be a little bit slower game now that that exile is gone just in the first 4 cards. Going to be trying to cycle back to that over time here. JT having a little think about this turn. We've got a Seeker Needle coming down with a draw pip on it. Vandalize, looking for some cards in JDG's deck over here. Discards a Munchling. Must not have seen too many scary things over there. That Munchling would just clog up the hand anyways for JDG, since don't really want to play too many creatures at the moment. And then we have an Opportunist going down, so a little bit tougher to take out that Galeatops now that it's elusive. And we've got jtrussell getting the first key there. With the extra amber, and again, taking it very slow on JDG's side, just getting kind of that setup going. We do have the Amphora down now, and we've got the second Quixelstone, so even with the animator, it'd take a while for those Quixelstones to be not relevant in the game, but doesn't seem like either player wants to get rid of them, so we'll just see what happens. We do have a Stunner going down on that Galeatops. Probably not going to be used for too much here, but again, getting more amber and just keeping the pressure on. JDG still not at check after last turn. We'll see if he starts getting the transporter platform value going. Going into logos here first, though, so we'll see. I guess jtrussell probably discarded the Munchling off of the Vandalize to keep those Bouncing Deathquarks from having the ability to repeat, because that's how JDG is going to get past this ward, is by having creatures to bounce the Bouncing Deathquark off of. I do have a Lethalogica discarding nothing, so hard to say if that's good value or not in this deck. Again, he's probably trying to cycle back to getting that Exile again, but we do have the Eclectic Inquiry getting some extra archives going. Still not quite the 8 archives that JT has over there with his autoencoder, but there's a little bit of something. And we see the famous Legacy Pipped Igor in Chandra. Gonna be doing a little bit more filtering here. We'll see what JDG chooses to discard. Of course, we're going to have all the sloppy lab workers coming in. Okay, so we have Blast Shielding and Forge Compiler getting discarded, and then we have the Animator coming down with the Damage Pip being used as a Capture Pip to put one on that Igor. Interesting not using the Damage Pip to hit the Galeatops there, just to ping that ward off. All right, jtrussell taking advantage of that extra board space from the Igor to play a Rad Penny out and then an Opportunist, and then going to mug it to get an extra steal off of the Opportunist captured Amber. JDG not going to be able to forge because second Opportunist comes down, also putting jtrussell up to 8 and check for second key and taking JDG off of check there. Then we have an Imperial Trader to take a look at the hand. I don't think that's going to give us... Yeah, it's not going to give us access to see the hand. That's fine. JT getting some good info there. Doing 1 ping of damage onto the Igor. Keep it like that for now. Neither of these boards are going to get too big because we've got the Pixel Stones down. But see what JDG does here. Again, with the Amphora, he does have options for getting JT off of check. But with that Exile gone, those options are a little bit tenuous. So he could get a Ludo down. There is board space still for that Ludo. Which may be why JDG's not in too much of a hurry to kill that Galeatops. As long as it's there, there's a little bit of space to get Ludo down with another creature to get a little bit more value from the capturing. Alright, we've got the first thinking. This time it's from JDG. Over the course of these 3 games, we will see how many times that line comes up. So only a 5-card hand here for JDG, so probably trying to think of if it's worth doing much with the Animator here. You gotta think there's probably at least 1 Bouncing Deathquark in hand at this point. So you could use that Animator just to pull one of your artifacts onto the board, so you have the double hits off of the Bouncing Deathquark, or you might pull JT's autoencoder just to try and get that off of the board for a couple turns. We did see, I didn't catch this before, but JT did pull his archives for that Shadows turn, which makes sense. It was a pretty impactful turn, but that does mean he's going to be working to kind of get that back over time, but he is working with a 9-card hand here for next turn. JDG goes Logos, so probably see a Bouncing Deathquark here. Can't quite remember what the enhancement is on that one Bouncing Deathquark. See if I can take a look quick. Drop it, okay. So again, with the Amphora, can do a lot of stuff with that, but if you're destroying your own creatures, a Capture Pip doesn't really help you. So chooses Logos, but still thinking about exactly what to do with this turn. Got the Reap with the Igor, going to check here. Yeah, and we do see the Animator pulling the autoencoder up as a creature and going to take that out with the Bouncing Deathquark. Is going to give JT back an Amber, so he'll be at 9. Chandra's not doing much to stop that here, but just going to be working towards stopping that last key. But he's got some deck to get through to get to kind of some of those real tools again. He'll have some capture off of the spoils of battle, but you know, JT's got some decent answers for that here. We do have a Universal Translator and Detention Coil going down on this Voltron of a Galeatops. that JDG doesn't want to kill, and I'm not 100% sure what the reasoning is behind that. I'm not going to question his playing of Chandra, but just has been hesitant to do too much work to take that out for now. Do have a couple discards there just to get more. Oh, no archiving this time because, of course, the autoencoder is gone. So we're just discarding those to get them out of hand because you can't play them because of the Quixel Stone. But I would guess if the autoencoder was there, there's still, or if the Quixel Stone wasn't there, there'd still be discards. JT not quite getting to check that turn is pretty important. This does give JDG one turn of breathing room, but again, there was, is there a capture pip on one of those? Yeah, capture pip on the universal translator, just taking JDG off check again. He's got to start making up some ground here, and just kind of the constantly being taken down to 5 is really hurting. Let's go for Saurian here. We'll see if he pulls his archives. Should have still 1 spoils left, both Ludos. And Hedonistic, Chant, Cantina. We do see the Citizen Shrix, and apologies for all the upgrades that JT is just deciding to put on this dude, so we can't actually see. But this is a Citizen Shrix down there, so that's going to have 1 Amber Pip on it. Do see a Chant of Hubris is going to move that Amber Pip over to the Galeatops here. Most likely. By deciding on if he wants to do another capture with the Amber Pip on Chant of Hubris. Interesting thing is, there is the Effervescent Principle, so we haven't seen that from JT yet, so JDG just really trying to play around giving too much value to that EP, but my guess is we're going to see it here anyways. Yeah, so JT just starts off with that, gets a Positron Bolt on that Shrix, taking it out. We did see the Chant of Hubris there, and he did gain the Amber off of that, going to 7 off that turn. But there is a whole key's worth of Amber on this Galeatops now. Just have to wonder when JDG is going to take it out, but now that that EP is gone, might be pretty incentivized too, although we do have a reshuffle on JT's side. I didn't quite catch how many cards he had left, so I don't know what the odds are of reshuffling back into the EP quickly will be, but Chandra does not have too many tools in Star Alliance for taking this out, so it's going to be another turn or 2 before that Galeatops goes down. It still has the ward, so it is elusive and warded and 12 power, so really going to have to be those bouncing Death Quarks to take it out. Do see a Survey taking, discarding Opposition Research here. Got a Sacro Alien getting a Detention Coil, and then a draw here, so getting a little bit more of our cycle, and we're going to get the bouncing here from the Transporter platform too. This is another kind of sneaky value play in Chandra. Can get a decent amount of value off of especially bouncing something like your Igor that already has pips on it. But this Detention Coil having those the extra draw pip on it is very good. See what he finds here. Kind of wonder if he wants to keep the board clear so that elects to play Secure a Droid. What's the Detention Coil on that? And then plays the Sacro Alien to the side. So, discards the Quintrino Flux. So again, could have probably taken the ward off there. But the Sacro Alien does now have an elusive target to start fighting into, which can be lots of value. The fight effect on Sacro Alien being very, very good for kind of milling through your deck to find your value cards. Okay, we do see a Booby Trap coming down from JT, not having any effect because there is not a non-flank creature. We've got the Rad Penny coming down, getting a steal, and then the Secret Needle killing it to go to check, but we do see the first Keyforge for JDG. But JT is now in check at 6, so we'll see if JDG has many tools left. Again, we should have, oh, we've got Star Alliance. So probably just going to use some of those pips off of the Amphora. I'm trying to think if there's any other capture. Yeah, it's probably going to be how JDG does that. And again, just doing this to try and get more of that filtering and mill value from the Sacro Alien. Just really trying to get this deck flipped. to get back to those value cards. And then we'll probably just see some capture pips being coming off of the amphora. All right, lots of spectators in this game as well. This is an exciting game. I love both these players, and I think this is going to be some very, very good matches. This one's already a good match, very chessy, but yeah, definitely some cool stuff from some cool players. So I'm excited to see what happens here. Okay, so the secure droid gets bounced along with that upgrade on it. Again, that upgrade is likely the only way he's taking JT off of check here, just using some of those pips as capture pips. See a Demo Alien coming down, so potential for some steal there as well. And there's a couple more pips, so probably going to get some capture there. Going on to the Sacro Alien. Interesting choice there. Probably would rather exile this instead of this one if he's forced to exile one of these instead of a different creature. But putting the Amber on the Demo Alien does give you the chance of getting the steal when it's destroyed. But we do have that detention coil coming back down now, with a few more pips to decide what to do with. Got one more capture coming from the Amber pip, and then choosing to draw with the other one. So JDG at a hand of 8, taking JT down to 4 Amber. Let's see if JDG has any more this turn. Do have the taunt going up there onto the Sacro Alien. And again, sorry, this is difficult to see. These are just... the upgrades are rude. JT just didn't even want us to be able to see what's going on in game 1. He's trying to hide his tactics. Okay, and we call it a turn there. And we'll see how JT responds. So we do have 2 Amber sitting on this Sacro Alien, which is also taunting right now with a secure droid on it. And then we've got the detention coil on this pipped Demo Alien. So lots of small decisions there. Going to keep the detention coil on this Demo Alien. So again, since it's protected already, have the chance of transporter platforming it again with all these pips on it. Does give you a lot of flexibility. We are 1 card away from flipping the deck, so sure JDG is keeping an eye on that. Ooh, Perplexing Sophistry, going to discard one of the Perfectus Ludos from JDG's hand. I feel like he should still have another one in there. Yeah, so still one more Ludo in there. This is the pipped one, so it'll be a non-pipped one afterwards. And we have an Opportunist getting played onto the Demo Alien. It's kind of an interesting call there. We do have the Rad Penny getting played and then shot by the Seeker Needle very fast again. And JT going to 7 Amber. So now if you bounce the Demo Alien, JT goes to 8. You do still technically have the pips to take him off of check just by going Starlines, but then you're not really getting the draw off of those pips that you really need right now. So we'll see which way JDG goes. No space on the board to even get that second Ludo down is kind of rough here. JDG going back into Star Alliance, knowing he's got those fight abilities into this elusive creature, but gonna have to spend the transporter platform to get 1 draw to actually turn it on here. Okay, so we got the capture coming down from the damage pip, bringing JT back down to 7. And now we have the deck flip. And there's a survey, gonna start doing the filtering. So JG gonna be really looking for that value again now that the deck is flipped. Discard Eclectic Inquiry, which means the other card was probably pretty good. I guess going Logos with his deck at this point is pretty tricky. Logos not as good at taking opponents off of check as the other 2 houses. Okay, and there's the other 2 pips coming down to take JT off of check. So we've got 5 Amber piled up on this Sacro Alien now. And we do get a draw off of the detention coil here. So 1 more draw, and now we're going to get the fight off of the Sacro Alien. Sacro Alien, if you don't remember, is going to be look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put 1 into your hand and 1 on the bottom of your deck, which means you leave the other one there. So I think those may be an argument for playing this Detention Coil after you've done this fight, depending on what you see, but it's really hard to know. You might not get a card left on top of your deck that you really want this turn. And depends on what we saw from the survey. So he must have liked what he saw in the survey more than what he's expecting to get off of this fight. Okay, so we've got a blast shielding now, so even more pips coming down. Another 2 pips there to do some more capturing and stuff like that. So we've got a whole 7 amber stacked up on this Sacro Alien, and kind of the question now is, can JT's deck actually kill that very easily? Double Positron Bolt doesn't quite do it. Kerzap doesn't do it. Booby Trap's not going to hit it unless more creatures come down. Interesting. So he maybe doesn't have a good way of killing that. This Hadron Collision is going to do some damage to it. So we've got 3 damage on it now, bypassing the armor. So now you do have a chance with your kind of other ping damage with the Positron Bolts, or maybe even Mug and Secret Needle. This is 2 armor. So yeah, few options for killing it now that you got that 3 damage on there. But not going to check this turn. Again, that's a lot of breathing room for JDG to not have to deal with the check here. Opts to go into Saurian, even though he has a very good Star Alliance board set up here. He could use that again, but probably going to try and get... well, we'll see if he has the Exile. Exile here would be a pretty big deal with that 7 amber already captured. Did get some filtering, but it was really only about 4-ish cards off of the top there that he got to look through, so not the most unlikely thing, but we'll see if he found it. That would be a pretty big swing here if he is able to exile another 7 amber over to JT. And JT has also flipped his deck. Sorry, I'm kind of focusing on the defense here, but JT kind of on the offense has flipped his deck and probably looking for that. Got 10 amber stacked up on the Sacro Alien now. Sorry, JT is probably looking for the autoencoder again, just to try and really get that efficiency going. And the effervescent principle as well, because at some point JDG will get either 10 or 7 amber, and you want to make sure you have an answer for that. He has the exile. Woof. Okay, so that's really brutal. JT unable to play more creatures still at the moment. We do have an Ancient Power. Going to ward both of JDG's creatures there with the Ludo down. Yeah, kind of only a matter of time now before Bouncing Deathquark takes out at least the Sacro Alien there. So pretty big table flip coming there from JDG. Not table flip, I guess, but flipping the stakes maybe. Definitely getting a little bit more on the offensive. Being able to find that exile was huge. And we knew he had held at least the Ludo and another spoils, and so being able to find the Ancient Power 2 and the Hedonistic Intent. So he had a good bit of stuff that he had held through the whole cycle of the first deck. To kind of get some of that stuff going. So JT just getting some use out of that Star Alliance board. Getting a couple amber there, and then filtering top of his deck does discard the Ambassador Lu. JDG goes a quick play into Logos here to animate the transporter platform. So, okay, so it's going to be damage pip off of the Munchling, probably going to actually ping this ward off now. Oh, no. Doing more capture onto the transporter platform. Oh, man. So now this has just become amber that JT will never get back, getting captured onto that transporter platform. So, man, some nasty stuff. And JDG really showing why this deck made it, I think, to second place at Canadian Nationals. It is a really incredible deck once it kind of gets its pieces together, and JDG is great at piloting it. We'll see what JT can do and respond. He's still not in... JDG still isn't in check, so JT just needs to find a way to kind of get that check pressure back on, just to really force out any last options for JDG. But JDG does have kind of a nice setup here, even just what we saw. If JT doesn't also deal with the board, you can kind of keep doing some of those interesting things. We could find the Igor, which would do basically the same thing as this Munchling now. Okay, so we see a Positron Bolt going to take off the wards and destroy that Munchling. That is a start. Got a Sloppy Labwork discarding Kerzap, and then a second Sloppy Labwork, so a little bit of archiving there. Let's see what else was discarded quick. Oh, discarding the other. Oh, it didn't have anything to discard off of the second Sloppy, so JT probably just really trying to find that Effervescent if he hasn't yet, but also needs to get the check here soon. JDG was just in Logos, so good chance he doesn't have much to go back into there, although one Bouncing Death Quirk still does a lot. With this board state, getting rid of the wards is a big deal for JT. That Bouncing Death Quirk just loses a little bit of its punch, not being able to bounce 4 times. All right, and JDG is in the think tank again. So, crazy game so far already, and this is, again, kind of just what you get from these two players. Pretty strong and fast start from JT, and that was aided by JDG kind of not opting to take out the Galeatops earlier on, so he wasn't getting as much momentum then from Amber, but really just working on setup while JT kind of just burned through a lot of deck, got a lot of Amber early, got those keys, and now we're sitting at same Amber totals, 1 key difference, and really a lot of the cards in JDG's hand now as far as pushing the momentum of this game. Okay, so we're going to see Star Alliance. Again, with the elusive Galeatops, can get that fight ability that you don't normally get on a smaller creature here before bouncing it. You're safe to bounce it now because JT's only on the 3 Amber. JDG does decide to just Reap instead. Kind of an interesting choice there. This doesn't seem like a game where 1 Amber is really that valuable, considering what you might be getting soon, but again, I can't be too critical of JDG's play of this. He knows what he's doing, so we're going to see the damage finally stripping that ward, and then we're going to see a Quintrino Flux, which is going to kill both the Galeatops and the Sacro Alien, getting JDG up to 23 Amber there, and we'll see if JT has the EP. Opts to do some capturing off of the pips here. Just an interesting call, knowing that JT might have to, probably is forced into playing the EP if he has it now. And a quick call from JT to go into Logos does have the EP, but not able to do anything else with that turn, and JDG is still going to end this turn in check for key 3. And that's a lot of JT's Amber control gone. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's basically just in the shadows now with that Rad Penny. And a couple capture pips in Star Alliance. But we're going to see the Animator come down, doing some of the similar things, being able to either capture onto it or bounce the Igor. Yep, okay. So just getting the Amber off the Igor now with the Effervescent safely gone in the discard. Doing some filtering, bouncing the Igor. And this is why you can see, this is why JDG also opted to ban T-Zyger. T-Zyger does the same thing with Animator and Transporter Platform, only the creature it bounces is an Ultra Graviton, so can get pretty scary pretty fast there. However, this looks like it might be It's going to be tough for JT to come back from this. I'm not sure what options he has left for dealing with this. And JDG is just stacking his hand now too with stuff that he needs. Okay, we got a Bouncing Deathquark. Taking out the Igor and the Ensign El Samra. El Samra can give JT a little bit of reach there with using some pips from hand, but have to think 9 is probably going to do it. 10 definitely is going to do it. So, you know, JT really got the early aggression there and seemed like he was about 1 turn away from getting it. There was 1 turn there where it was pretty close for JDG. Maybe it wasn't that close. It's hard to know without seeing what's in their hands, but was able to just keep JT off that last key and then really turn things around with the strength of Chandra. So there you go. Game 1 goes to JDG with Chandra over XU Stealth Warper. So Chandra is now not playable for JDG. JDG is going to be playing his Grim Reminders deck now, so I am excited to see how that thing plays. And JT is going to have the option of playing either one. Oof, JDG had the Exile again, just in case things went bad there. Let's see. So against that Grim Reminders, so I don't know if individual wins, how much they matter for this. I would, if I was JT, I'd probably play, let's see, probably play the Winds of Exchange deck just because those, the double heavy subsidies is going to be really good, at least against one of JDG's key sheets, but against Might Makes Right, there's not much you can do as far as key costs, so. All right, we've got game 2 ready to go. JT opting to stick with Stealth Warper. Gonna try it against this Grim Reminders deck, Anguished Pawn. Gotta be honest, this looks like a pretty scary deck. We've all been seeing what Grim Reminders can do in testing the last couple of weeks. This one with the Winds of Death being able to archive a bunch of big Brobnar creatures and then just Might Makes Right them for a free key. Ectocharge able to get a free key within here somewhere to archive it. All right, and JT is going to be going first again. We're off for game 2. I have to imagine strategy for JT doesn't look too much different. This Grim Reminders deck does not have any artifact control, so that will work more in JT's favor, especially if you can get the autoencoder down early. Really try to get that efficiency going, and I'm not really sure what this deck does, like kind of, I know JT really appreciates kind of getting to these sort of inevitable game states. This one probably is just discard stuff with autoencoder until you kind of get down to playing whole houses at a time, but we'll see if he has the time to set that up with this Wind of Exchange or this Grim Reminders deck. Although the Quixelstone is going to be very important. Quixelstone will actually shut down the Might Makes Right pretty hard. So we have Perplexing Sophistry right off the bat to discard Fight to the End, and then JDG coming back with the Rickety Cyber Giant and the Capture Pip there. The Tension Coil on the Cyber Giant, so it cannot fight now, and Ensign El Samra. So JT not able to find any of those artifacts right off the bat, but I have to think that Quixelstone is going to be massive for this game. Junk Restoration to see both key cheats and another Junk Restoration goes ahead and just returns the other Junk Restoration. I think that is a fine play. You're going to have ways of archiving those later, but both key cheats are in the discard right now. Unfortunately for JT, does not have ways to really purge those or interact with them, but we are going to see a second Junk Restoration, seeing Brick Nasty, Webster, and Tangler. It's a tough call, but most likely you just grab the Brick Nasty, try and get the value from that while you can, even though your Rickety Cyber Giant, I guess, can't fight right now. You may just opt to pick up nothing. Okay, takes the Webster. Discards Winds of Death. All right, so one of the big archive potentials is gone there. We're going to see the Vandalize. This will be interesting to see what JT snipes with that. Gets Target. So one of the archiving, two of the big archiving cards are now gone. It's really just going to be that, what's it called? In here somewhere now. That JDG is going to need to use to get some of those value cards in place. Is already scarily close to a Might Makes Right, but luckily for JT, that is not in the picture at the moment. We do see the Seeker Needle and the Rad Penny coming down. JT at 4 Amber. Both, well, JDG's check is also going slow like last game to start with. Again, it probably ramps up fast. JT may be going a little bit slower this time, not having that autoencoder down. Lots of Amber getting dumped on that Rad Penny and then a Plague Wind to take it out. So 3 Amber swing there right off the bat, getting to put all that on Rad Penny with a Don't Believe Your Eyes and discarding a Distant Void Prober. JT going into Logos, discarding off of Sloppy Labwork and getting a Daughter down, just again trying to find those artifacts. Really needs to find probably the Kurzap and the Quixelstone pretty fast here to keep ahead of just board pressure that JDG is going to be able to get with these big creatures. Do you see Geistoid called? Get the Haunted House down, which is a very strong card. Got the Reaver to start pulling Amber, and Snippy coming down with the 2 damage just to take out the Daughter. There's the In Here Somewhere to archive. Gotta think Ecto Charge. Hard to know if it Might Makes Right too, but it might be. You already have enough on board to use it. I think if you archive one, you probably don't archive the other though, because then you have to take your archives and it just chains you the rest. So I would say Might Makes Right and Winds of Death. Okay, makes sense. So JT basically has to clear this board here, otherwise JG might get a key and another free one right away. And just called Logos, so even if you have the Kurzap, it's not a fantastic turn to have to play that here. But we do see the Logos call. Lethalogica, so it might be a last-ditch effort to find it. Get a Positron Bolt. I don't think that's going to be enough since we're at 19 here as it is. Yeah, we're at 26. 20, yeah. So 26 will be enough for a free key for JDG here, and we see that Snap Call into Brobnar. Brutal stuff from Grim Reminders here. And probably just, yeah, some unfortunate luck of the draw on JT's side there of not being able to find really either of his artifacts that really make this deck move a bit. Let's see what he discarded with the Letho. Nothing. It was just Oddclod right on top. Alright, JDG doing the math here, making sure, triple checking. Never want to sacrifice them all without knowing you're getting the key. We'll see if he also remembers to reap with that Cyber Giant first. Plays a Concussive Transfer just to get a little bit of that damage moved off of him and destroying an Oddclod. Yeah. A Memorialize to blow up JT's Amber. Oh man, the hits just keep coming. Rorag Screamer coming down, giving more power to the Might Makes Right. So we'll see what he opts to destroy here. Has some options now. But this will be another free key and 5 Amber, or 3 Amber for JDG, leaving JT on 1 Amber. Okay, so Opts to leave the 2 smaller creatures, just getting rid of the Brobnar, expecting not to have too many Brobnar turns left. Actually probably has a decent amount of Brobnar to still draw into. But it's a pretty tough spot for JT, especially not having tons of large amber control. It's a lot of incremental stuff. Are going to see an Imperial Trader. Again, sadly doesn't really do anything in this matchup, but it's going to be some information at least. A quick draw with the friendly banter asking JT where his artifacts are. Might not be in the mood if I was JT at this point. But with the... I guess it was Winds of Death archived, so we'll see. I don't know if JDG has a way to get the Ecto Charge back now. So might not be able to get that 3rd key. Okay, JT does get to check there. Just going through some pips with the shadows and being able to kill that grabber. Brash Grabber with the Mug and the Seeker Needle. Still 2 in archive, so expecting that to probably be the Effervescent, just for some kind of insurance against what's happening here. But we'll see. It's looking pretty rough. I think the Winds of Death from JDG was an interesting choice. I guess you play it here and then just hope JT hasn't found the... Ooh. Got a Cursed Tomb and going to check. There it is, yeah. So you get a lot in archives. JT gets a decent amount of archives too, but you basically just have to hope JT does not have the Quixelstone here. But JT is going to need some Amber control, and so he goes into Shadows. Chooses not to take the archives, though. Double Opportunist going to stop the key there, get a little bit of Amber, but JDG going to have probably a decent follow-up turn, although there is a chance he just holds that archives for Might Makes Right coming back around, because that is a very difficult thing for JT to stop. Never mind, opts to take the Mars into hand. I haven't even looked too much at what this Mars is doing. Second Plague Wind would just take out the boss Zarek. Do have the Shock Collar. Discarding the Void Prober to make boss capture 1 from its own side. Discarding the Grabber. Okay, just discarding a bunch of creatures just to make sure he has as much room as possible. If that... Ooh, and the terrible teammates to discard a Snippy to destroy the boss Zarek. And a couple more discards there from Zip the Implanter. Forced to stun his own creature. Oh, and there's the target. Oh, okay. So that makes sense. So the target coming back from the Winds of Death going to be able to archive the Ecto Charge, which is basically a sure thing in a turn or two. Pretty brutal. So going to be an EP here from JT just to stop the bleeding. There's the autoencoder. See if he finds a... I mean, even if you have Kurzap, do you even play it here? Because that just puts more in the discard for JDG, but I don't think it really matters. On 5 Amber and 22 cards in discard, he can just play the Ecto Charge and win. So I can see like why, yeah, so he discards the Kurzap. I can see why JT brought this deck. That Quixelstone does do a lot to stop some of these combos, but you have to find it. And unfortunately, JDG just found a lot of other things first. GG's, guys. Wow. Not quite what I was expecting from that series. Both very good players, but I think, yeah, some things definitely yeah, unfortunate on the draw, I think, for JT there. I think it's still a very close match, even if he does find it. But yeah, being down to the last 7 cards and not having found it is pretty brutal in a matchup where it's so important. All right, so that is the end of Triad for Sloppy Labwork versus Meticulous Plażing. JDG taking it in a 2-0 sweep with some incredible turnaround with Chandra from a very close game, and then really just a brutal showing from Grim Reminders there. So, like I said at the beginning, there's going to be 2 other matches recorded for this week, both the same team matchup. It's going to be, let's see, Murph and Andy Forge. So, they're linked below. Go check out their YouTubes to go see those matches. That'll be the Archon Best of 3 and Adaptive Best of 3. And be on the lookout for more of these as this league continues. And thank you so much to Astron for organizing, all of the content creators to do this, and for all 3 of those guys for getting this league going, because it looks like a blast. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.